Welcome back, Visions fans. We have a brand new Esper dropping this week, which also means there's a Vision card included. We're looking at Leviathan, brand new to the game. I will say a smidge overdue because we've had some hell going through the Pierce meta recently, and Leviathan's finally here to put a little bit of a stop to that. We'll see how effective he really is, though. So first things first, getting into the Esper. Overall, I think he's only an average Esper in my opinion. Part of the reason for that is although he has semi-decent stats, the board overall is relatively weak, and he's genuinely geared more for water characters to utilize the full upside of what he brings. So I'll tell you what I mean. Stat-wise, you can see overall relatively strong HP numbers. He is an attack-oriented Esper, so 91 attack is a fairly healthy attack number, but the agility of 13 really hurts me. 13 is slow, and again, this is assuming maxed Esper, like level 80, double awakenings. If you haven't done that, you're looking at an agility of 11 or 12, so that's just really, really slow, and other Espers, like Golem, for instance, have some really great upside with, the killers and defense and a lot of pierce resist. So I don't think Leviathan's board brings enough to really justify the stats. And you'll see that. So he does have pierce resist of 15, which is only okay in my opinion. Shiva has 15, Aegion has 15, Golem has 25. So of a relatively weak board to only have 15% on the pierce resist, it's just straight up average. It really is. The other three next tier, if you will, the water resist at 25 if you needed it, fire killer 25 again if you needed it, but a lot of boards have this. This is not unique to him. Almost all elements have the killers and resists on them. But the third one here, the increase of water attack 25, that's like the second best one on this board. And even then, I don't really think it's that great. The only characters who truly want water attack right now are Glaciela. That's it. The only other strong water units are Miranda and Eldyra, who are magic users. I guess hypothetically Miranda maybe with the paladin job, but that's getting wonky. And then I know Tidus in the future that's coming out will, benefit from this, but other than that, that's basically it. I know Christmas Ramada is a thing, but since her release, I have yet to see her at all in the game, guild or arena, except for that 1 week where you got bonus token or bonus points for her. So overall, this is just not a great board, and the rest of it's just average. Nether Beast Killer is niche, evoke damage, accuracy, crit evasion. That's all pretty standard. So overall, big picture, I'm not a big fan of this Esper. He's just too slow for a board that doesn't give you enough. I feel like there's just way other better options overall for other Espers. But the Vision card, that's where things are really interesting here, because this Vision card, it's important for a handful of reasons, not only just for balancing the weapon types in the game, but for balancing certain characters. So long story short, this card, defense of 4, attack of 164, HP of 306, so it's got some good stats to it, but the unit effects are specific to certain jobs on the main jobs on certain characters. And as a secondary effect, for some of the other unit effects, you need to be either light or water. So this is another card that's really niche to certain characters, but overall party effect, pierce resist of 20%. That's been necessary. The only card that has pierce resist in this game like that is the Behemoth card, and even then it's only 15%, and the stats are pretty good, to be fair, for an MR card. But this card's really going to take the cake. And then finally, there's an ability Crash Edge, where you do damage 160 to 195% as the modifier, and that scales as your HP decreases. 30 AP, so it's relatively cheap, but it's average. It's on the higher end, but could be worse. Anyways, the unit effects is where things really get tricky here. This is where I'm going to spend the most time talking. The unit effects, there's 10 or 12 different jobs that this attack 10% applies to only them. Then these next two, the HP 10% and the slash attack of 10, apply to those same jobs, but you have to be light or water. So this is the current list of URs to which this is applicable. So for those units who are those classes that only get the 10% are this top half right here. So a healthy mix of DPS and tanks. I think that some of the greatest benefiters from this are probably Dwayne, Agrius, Delita, Orlando, and Gilgamesh. The others really don't use attacks. So Whisper, if she's trying to generate hate, she's using her Spellblade. Ryu and Freyave use their magic more than anything. Same with Howlet. So the increase of attack for those 10%, not really doing anything. But the bottom half of here these are the light or water units. So you're looking at Thancred, Cecil, Engelbert, Miranda, Ramza, Warrior of Light. They get the they get the attack of 10% and HP of 10% and increase of slash resist 10 on the modifier. So these characters at the bottom truly shining on this card, and some of them it really gets them back to where they need to be in the overall balance of the game. And I'm going to continue on that point. So just looking at what this card does, you have to keep in the context that no matter what, it gives you 20% pierce resist. There's some characters that need this card essentially to balance and bring them back to where things have shifted. And what is essentially power creep in the game. That's kind of what it is. So these characters are the ones that have negative pierce resist. So for someone like Warrior of Light, this card is huge for him because it not only brings him back to 0 on the pierce resist, but it increases his attack, his HP, and his slash attack. So it is kind of bringing his damage output more competitive with where it needs to be, considering you also have options like Dwayne and the ever-popular Agrius, who's also getting a 10% attack boost to this, and getting her pierce resist positive from -10 to +10. So these two characters really benefit. Obviously, the additional defense a little bit helps. And then theoretically, since they're tanks, as their HP decreases, this Crash Edge might be a fairly viable ability offensively for them. So that's a really important part of this, but there are some characters who this card really emboldens to go against those pierce attacks. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. For instance, like Engelbert and Thancred, they're two, we'll call them tanks. I know Thancred's kind of not really a tank per se, but they're both known for their incredibly high innate resists, with the downside of magic being like -30. But other than that, their missile strike and slash are typically very high. Both of them only have 5% pierce resist, though. Now, with this card, they're going to be at 25%, which is competitive with the other resists, and they're getting buffs to HP and attack. So you kind of need that, particularly Engelbert, who's so slow that he needs like a little bit more offensive firepower and a little more survivability. And then Thancred obviously just like balance against some of the dark meta. The other half of this, Whisper, the same goes for it as well, where now you're getting her up to 45% as opposed to 40% if you were using the Behemoth card. But there's a couple DPS here, in particular Cecil. He's the one that really benefits the most. But I do see instances where Delita obviously benefits as well. And Dwayne as well, for sure. Because Dwayne, despite being a tank, has an incredibly high attack stat that not only is his pierce resist going to go from 15 to 35, but he's also getting attack boost. The same can be said for Delita, who hasn't had a lot of use, but now that we're getting some more fire units, now that some of the ice units are getting phased out, you could see a place where he has a little more versatility. But really and truly, Cecil's the one that benefits the most, because he goes from that 15% to 35% pierce resist, and he gets HP 10%, which he needs, because if you're using some of those shield abilities, he's going to chip away at his own HP. So this is to help kind of keep him alive a little bit longer. And then obviously the buffs as well to attack. Not only the actual attack, but the slash attack, while also adding this defense of 4 and a potential and other attacking Crash Edge, where if he's depleting HP pretty constantly, he's going to maybe use this ability. So overall, like Leviathan's kind of hit or miss. The Esper, like I said, relatively weak, but this card is pretty important for the balance of the game going forward, where right now you're just seeing a complete influx of canes with really no way to mitigate it other than either out caning your enemy cane, or B, just like going really hard on stacking some like unit resist and area resists and hoping that you have enough sustain and revives that if you happen to get one shot, or if you can avoid getting one shot, that you overall win the larger battle. But that's it in a nutshell. This is a good card. I'm glad they introduced it, well overdue, and I'm looking forward to putting it in some of my comps and seeing just how well it does in sort of hedging and staving off some of what we see in terms of the pierce strength. So good luck pulling if you're going for this, and enjoy the rest of the week. Thanks, guys.